With a quick show of hands, how many of you have heard this phrase? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. How about this one? If you treasure it, you'll measure it. As a former CPA, growing up in the Big Six accounting firm Arthur Andersen, I was grounded in the philosophy and the mandate that you have to measure everything. Starting out as an auditor, later moving on to HR and operations, everything we did had to have a result that you could mathematically calculate. That was simply the way I had been trained. When I arrived at UnitedHealth Group, a Fortune 5 public company, I found that things were no different there. Everything we did was metric driven. Evidence-based medicine, Six Sigma projects abounding all over the company. We had not missed a financial forecast in over 40 quarters. In fact, we exceeded all of the analyst estimates every single time. In addition to that, the CEO of our company, Robert, had been the office managing partner of our Minneapolis Arthur Andersen office. In addition to that, he was the chief financial officer for Arthur Andersen before he took on the role of CEO of UnitedHealth Group. That's the environment I was growing up in and had been placed in when I was asked to lead the culture work at UnitedHealth Group. How could we change the workplace culture? One of the first things I went after was, okay, we're gonna have to measure it. We're gonna have to prove that where we are today is going to be different out in the future. But I had no idea how we were going to do that. You see, I understood that a change management process was really a transformational aspect of an entire company. And I had been around change management all my life. And I had never seen a mathematical calculation to prove out the return on investment by implementing good change management principles. And although I could show you train wreck after train wreck of projects that failed because change management was not implemented, I still couldn't prove it out. So I was still hopeful that perhaps I could figure out, with a lot of people's help, how to measure the transformational change of our United culture. In addition, Robert, our CEO, had put in writing out to the entire organization of 110,000 people, we will measure our United culture. We will have comparative year-over-year analysis to prove out that we're making improvements. You can imagine how I felt. After a couple months in that role, had no answers. The bar was pretty high. What was I going to do? But then, at a senior leadership team meeting, one of my colleagues asked our CEO, Robert, how will we know that our United culture has been successful? And Robert, without hesitation, said, we're going to know because every key performance measure will have improved. This is not on Dave. This is on you. Every one of the things that we measure at UnitedHealth Group should improve. In addition to that, we'll know when I get unsolicited customer feedback where they tell me that they recognize the change for the better. You can imagine the relief I felt. I was off the hook of measuring what I knew we would treasure. But through that, I also found a couple of lessons learned. One, all that matters can't be measured. How do you measure energy? How do you measure spirit? How do you measure collaboration? How do you measure relationships? How do you measure belonging? How do you measure character? Particularly the collective character of an organization. Simply can't be done. That's where I ended up with the lesson of, it ain't no lie, there is no culture ROI. You cannot mathematically prove it, but yet we all know it matters. Because every one of those things I mentioned matters indefinitely to your business. Ted Lasso is an Apple TV series about an American football coach from Wichita, Kansas, who is brought over to London to coach the AFC Richmond Greyhound football, soccer as we call it here in America. He knows nothing about football. In over 3 years, he struggles mightily to try to get the team to win, and he finally has started to get some victories. After one stunning victory, a reporter burst into the locker room, breathless with excitement. Ted, I get it what you've been doing for 3 years in total football. I understand. Ted looks at him a little like, you're deranged, but okay, what do you mean by that? What I mean is, over years and years, through slowly but surely building a culture of trust and support for all the players, through thousands of imperceptible moments, it's total football. Thousands of imperceptible moments. How do you measure that? How do you measure the word of encouragement to someone? We just heard from Bill about Bill. What would have happened if he had not given Bill that opportunity? We would not have Bill Nye, the science guy. So I ask you today, within your workplace, within your organization, consider this. All organizations have cultures. The only choice is whether you shape it or it shapes you. Thank you.